You see, family, when we talk about monsters, we don't just mean the kind hiding under the bed. Some of them smile in your face, hold your hand, and look you straight in the eye while they dismantle the very core of who you are. The first behavior, they weaponize charm. Oh, they don't come in looking dangerous. No, they come in smooth, polite, attentive, like a dream you've been praying for. But that charm, that's the bait. And once you're hooked, the warmth starts to fade, replaced by cold control. Number two, they manipulate reality. It's not just lying. It's sculpting your truth until you can't trust your own memory. You remember what you said, what you felt, what you saw, but they twist it until you question your own mind. And that confusion, that's exactly where they want you, because a confused person is an easier person to control. Number three, they take without giving. I'm not talking about money alone. I'm talking about your energy, your love, your time, your peace. You pour into them, thinking you're building a life together, but the return, nothing but exhaustion and an atching emptiness that grows a little heavier each day. Number four, they gaslight to erase you. Gaslighting isn't just denying what happened. It's a slow, deliberate erasure of who you are. It's when you start apologizing for things you didn't do, doubting your instincts, and believing maybe you are the problem. And that's the greatest tragedy, when you forget your own reflection. Number five, they feed on your fear. Every outburst, every silent treatment, every calculated moment of withdrawal, it's all designed to keep you walking on eggshells. Because if you're afraid, you're compliant. And compliance is their favorite meal. Let me take you there. Picture this. You meet someone who seems like they've been dropped straight out of your prayers. Their smile, disarming. Their words, like honey dripping into your ears. They listen, they nod, they laugh at all the right moments, and they lean in just close enough to make you feel seen. Oh, and they don't just listen to you. They study you. They are memorizing your favorite words, your fears, the things that make you light up, and the things that make you flinch. And here's the part that makes it dangerous. Every bit of that charm feels genuine. Every moment feels like a safe place. You think, finally, someone who gets me. See, a narcissist knows exactly how to build their stage. They know the lighting, they know the music, they know the lines. They walk into your life wearing the perfect mask. And this mask, it's not made of plastic. It's made of the version of themselves you wish existed. That's the hook. And here's the hard truth. That hook is deep. Because when someone comes along who seems to finally understand you, your guard naturally falls. You open the door to your heart a little wider. And that's exactly the moment they were waiting for. They don't come in with red flags waving high. They come in carrying your favorite flowers. They don't stomp through your boundaries. They gently knock, compliment your home, and ask if they can stay for a while. And because you've been craving connection, because you've been searching for kindness, you let them in. That's the seduction. That's how the story starts, not with cruelty, but with sweetness. Now, here's the chilling part. You don't realize that the charm isn't an expression of who they are. It's an instrument they play with precision. Every compliment, every moment of empathy, every "you're so amazing" is calculated to create a deep sense of trust, because trust is the bridge that gives them access to your mind and your emotions. Without trust, their control has no foundation. So they lay it brick by brick, smile by smile, gesture by gesture, until you feel safe enough to hand them the keys to your vulnerability. And you know what happens when you hand over those keys. That's when the shift begins. Slowly, almost invisibly at first, the warmth begins to cool. They stop laughing at your jokes. They stop asking how your day was. They start finding small ways to remind you that they're the prize in the relationship. And by then, you're already invested. You've already told them your secrets, You've already intertwined your life with theirs. So instead of noticing the cold, you try to reignite the warmth. You tell yourself, maybe they're stressed, maybe you've done something wrong, maybe if you just try harder, the sweet version of them will come back. But here's the truth, they never left because that sweet version was never real. It was a performance. It was the bait to reel you in. Once you're hooked, they don't need the act anymore. They know you'll stick around because you're no longer chasing a stranger. You're chasing the memory of the person they pretended to be. And that's the cruel genius of their charm. It makes you doubt your pain because your mind keeps replaying the highlight reel from the beginning. The charm is the camouflage. It's the soft wool on the wolf. It's the melody that distracts you from the footsteps creeping closer. And by the time you realize it, they're not the person you thought you knew. They're the predator you never saw coming. And let me tell you, that's why this first behavior is the most dangerous, because without it, the other four couldn't exist. The charm is the entry point. It's the sugar that makes the poison go down smooth. It's not just friendliness, it's strategy. And once you've been caught in it, you start to understand that monsters don't always growl, sometimes they smile. Imagine this. You know what you saw, you know what you heard, and you know exactly how it made you feel. But then they come along with that calm voice and confident tone, and suddenly your truth doesn't feel so certain anymore. A narcissist doesn't just lie. Lying is too small for them. No, they craft entire worlds where they are always right and you are always wrong. They don't simply change the story. They make you doubt that the original story ever happened at all. And they do it so smoothly, so effortlessly, that you start to question your own memory before you ever question their words. They will tell you, you're remembering it wrong. They'll say, that's not what I meant, even when it's exactly what they meant. They will laugh in your face as if what you just described is ridiculous. And somehow you end up laughing too, just to keep the peace, even though deep inside you feel that sting of betrayal. This is the art of manipulation. They are rewriting the script of your life, one conversation at a time. The danger here is subtle. You don't notice it happening all at once. At first, you just let the small things slide. Maybe they insist they told you something you know they didn't. Maybe they deny a conversation you clearly remember. But you let it go because it's not worth the fight. And every time you let it go, they learn something. They learn how far they can push, how much they can alter before you resist. Slowly, they start pushing further, changing bigger details, flipping entire situations around so that somehow you are the one at fault. And when they have you doubting yourself, they've got you exactly where they want you. Because a person who doubts their own perception will lean on someone else to tell them what's real. And who better than the narcissist? They become the gatekeeper of reality, your reality. And that's not just control, that's ownership. They own your confidence, your clarity, your ability to stand firmly in your truth. Let me tell you how deep this goes. You could be in the middle of an argument where they've said something cruel, and minutes later, they'll insist they never said it. Not only that, but they'll act offended that you would accuse them. And here's the wild part. You'll start to wonder if you overreacted. You'll replay the moment in your head and think, maybe I misunderstood. Maybe it wasn't as bad as I thought. That's not just confusion, that's conditioning. They are training you to second guess your instincts, to override your emotional radar. This manipulation doesn't just alter your memory, it rewires your identity. The confident you becomes hesitant. The outspoken you becomes quiet. The decisive you becomes unsure. And all the while, the narcissist keeps their grip tight, using every distorted truth as a chain around your mind. And when you finally try to confront them with facts, they'll take it to another level. They might call you too sensitive or crazy, or accuse you of imagining things. That language is not accidental, it's strategic. Because if they can make you believe you're unstable, you'll trust them to define stability for you. And once they're in that position, they don't need to shout to control you. They just need to keep whispering their version of events until yours disappears. By the time you realize what's happening, you're living in a world they've built, where their truth replaces your truth, where their lies sound more reasonable than your memories, and where your own voice feels like the most unreliable one in the room. And the scariest part, this manipulation is so quiet, so gradual, that you might not even notice until you've lost track of who you were before it began. Because this isn't about winning an argument. It's about owning the narrative of your life. And when they own the narrative, they own you. It starts with small things. You give a little of your time here, a little of your energy there. You listen to their problems. You cheer them on. You support their dreams. At first, it feels mutual, like you're building something together. But slowly, almost without realizing it, you notice the balance shifting. You're the one showing up every time. You're the one pouring from your cup until it's nearly empty. And when you look for that same effort in return, there's nothing. A narcissist doesn't just take, they take without ever intending to give back. Your kindness becomes a resource they mine. Your love becomes fuel for their ego. Your energy becomes the very thing that keeps their world spinning. Yet they never consider how much it costs you. They will let you exhaust yourself, chasing the illusion of reciprocity, while they simply stand back and receive. At first, you think maybe they don't realize how one-sided it is. You hope that if you communicate, they'll start to meet you halfway. But here's the truth. They already know. They've known from the start. And that's the part that cuts the deepest. The taking isn't an accident. It's the plan. They are perfectly comfortable letting you carry the weight because in their mind, that's exactly how it should be. They will let you rearrange your schedule to accommodate them and then act like it's no big deal. They'll let you stay up late comforting them after their bad day, but they'll be too busy when you need the same care. You'll notice that your celebrations, your achievements, your moments of joy are quickly overshadowed by their need to turn the spotlight back on themselves. And if you ever dare to point it out, they'll accuse you of being needy, dramatic, or ungrateful. This emotional extraction is quiet but relentless. It's not just about physical help or time, it's about your emotional labor. You become the steady presence, the constant encourager, the fixer, the problem solver. And in return, they offer just enough affection or appreciation to keep you hooked, but never enough to truly refill what they've taken from you. It's like being given drops of water when you're dying of thirst, enough to keep you alive, but never enough to quench you. What's even more insidious is how they convince you that giving more is proof of your love. They'll make you believe that if you really care, you'll go the extra mile, and then another and another. They frame your exhaustion as devotion, and because you want the relationship to work, you keep giving, hoping that one day they'll see your sacrifice and finally give back in equal measure. But that day never comes. Over time, you begin to feel a constant low-grade emptiness. You wake up tired, not just in your body, but in your soul. You start to notice how much lighter they seem, how they walk through life with energy, confidence, and comfort because they've been drawing it all from you. They have more because you have less. They rise because you sink. And yet, you keep going because the person you met in the beginning made you believe this was worth it. You're not just investing in them. You're investing in the version of the relationship you were promised. But every day you keep giving to someone who never gives back. You are slowly disappearing. Your needs become smaller, your voice quieter, your joy dimmer. This is how a narcissist drains you, not in one violent theft, but in 1,000 quiet withdrawals. Until one day you realize your emotional bank account is not just empty, it's overdrawn. And the one person you thought would help you refill it is the very person who's been taking from it all along. It begins so subtly that you almost miss it. One day you're certain of who you are. You know your values, your strengths, your flaws, your story, but then they start planting little seeds of doubt. At first, it's a comment that seems harmless. You're remembering that wrong. Or you always overreact. You brush it off, thinking maybe they're just in a bad mood. But those comments grow. They become a steady drip of denial, dismissal, and distortion. And before you know it, you're questioning not just your memory, but your very identity. Gaslighting isn't just a lie. It's a weapon aimed at your sense of reality. They take the moments that define you, the truths that anchor you, and they twist them until you're no longer sure if you're standing on solid ground. You could be in the middle of expressing how you feel, tears in your eyes, and they'll look right at you and say, "That never happened." And in that moment, you feel the floor beneath you shift. Because if what you lived through didn't happen, then who are you? What do you stand on? It's a slow erasure. The you who used to speak up starts holding back. The you who once trusted your gut starts ignoring it. Every time they deny your truth, a piece of you fades. You begin to measure your words, wondering if you're being too sensitive. You start rehearsing conversations in your head before you have them, preparing for the inevitable moment when they'll turn your feelings into something ridiculous or wrong. And here's the cruel genius of it. They make you believe that they are the stable one, the reasonable one. They'll speak with such confidence, such certainty, that you start to wonder if maybe they're right and you really are the problem. They'll tell you that other people agree with them, that no one else sees things the way you do, and suddenly you're isolated. You begin to believe that your version of events is defective, that your perception is unreliable. What makes this so dangerous is how invisible it is to outsiders. To the world, they might seem charming, logical, even generous. But behind closed doors, they are dismantling your self-trust piece by piece. And because they mix in moments of kindness, those occasional warm gestures, those flashes of the good version of them, you hold on to the hope that maybe the relationship can be saved. That hope keeps you tethered, even as your sense of self continues to erode. Eventually, you start apologizing for things you didn't do. You start taking responsibility for emotions you didn't cause. You silence your own discomfort because every time you speak it, they make you feel foolish or crazy. And the more you silence yourself, the easier it becomes for them to rewrite your story entirely. The final stage is the most dangerous. Not when you're angry, but when you're numb. When you've been told so many times that your truth doesn't matter, you stop fighting for it. You stop defending your own memory, your own feelings. You shrink. And that's exactly where they want you. Quiet, compliant, and convinced that without them, you couldn't navigate the world. Gaslighting isn't just about confusion. It's about control. It's about replacing your reflection with the one they want you to see. And when they succeed, you don't just lose arguments, you lose yourself. And once a narcissist has erased you, they can shape what's left into anything they choose. And so here we are, standing in the truth of what this really is. Because when you put it all together, every charming mask, every twisted reality, every ounce of energy they've drained, every piece of your identity they've tried to erase, and every bit of fear they've used to keep you in place, you begin to see the full picture. This isn't just difficult behavior. This isn't just a personality flaw. This is a system, a strategy, a way of operating that is designed from the very beginning to benefit them at the expense of everyone who gets close. You realize that it was never an accident. Every smile in the beginning, every story they rewrote, every moment they watched you give without giving back, every cruel twist of your words, it all served one purpose: control. Not love, not partnership, not mutual respect, control. They build you up only to tear you down, not because they don't understand how to love, but because breaking you makes them feel powerful. And when you see it for what it is, there's a mix of emotions that hits you all at once. Anger, because you realize how much of your life you've given away to someone who only took. Sadness, because you remember the version of yourself who was open and trusting before they came along. Shock, because you finally see how deliberate every move was. And underneath all of it, a deep, steady ache, because the monster you were fighting wasn't hiding in the shadows. They were holding your hand. The hardest truth to accept is that you can't fix this. You can't love someone into being healthy when their survival depends on you staying broken. You can't win a game when the rules are designed to keep you losing. You can't keep giving pieces of yourself to someone who only sees them as trophies of their control. But what you must do, is reclaim what they tried to take. You start by believing yourself again. You start by trusting that your memory, your feelings, your instincts are valid. You remind yourself that your worth isn't determined by how much you can endure. You stop pouring into a cup that has no bottom. You refuse to keep dancing for crumbs of the kindness they only gave in the beginning to keep you hooked. And slowly, piece by piece, you gather yourself back. You take back your time, your voice, your peace. You recognize that the person they pretended to be never existed, and that the person you are becoming now is real, strong, whole. Because in the end, the greatest victory over a narcissist isn't proving them wrong. It's walking away with yourself intact. It's standing tall in the sunlight of your own truth, knowing that they no longer have the power to define you, diminish you, or dictate your reality. And that is the day they lose everything they tried to take.